Now we'll come to our yearly atmosphere. So when we talk about the yearly atmosphere, then you may think, okay, today's nitrogen and oxygen rich atmosphere is not the final atmosphere. Then I will tell, no, today's nitrogen and oxygen rich atmosphere what we are experiencing is not the final atmosphere. The yearly atmosphere or the initial atmosphere. Initial atmosphere of the earth is the initial atmosphere of the earth has your hydrogen, helium, methane and ammonia. So the first atmosphere, that is called initial atmosphere, has a composition of hydrogen, helium is in a major amount and a very small amount of methane as well as your ammonia. But this hydrogen and helium, owing to their very low weight, they are blown off into the space from the hot earth or the very high temperature earth. Now as the hydrogen, helium has been lost into the space, there occurs second atmosphere that we call the yearly atmosphere. Please remember, the first hydrogen helium rich atmosphere of our earth is here, or it is composed of hydrogen and helium. After that there develops yearly atmosphere. Okay, now from where or what are the different composition of the yearly atmosphere and from where they are originated? Now then the answer is the composition of the different gases of our yearly atmosphere comes from a process that is called outgassing. What is outgassing? Outgassing is the release of gases from hot molten Earth's interior. Okay, so what is outgassing process? Outgassing process is the release of gases from the hot molten Earth's interior, or simply in one term we can tell it volcanism. Okay, so as you all know, the release of superheated gases from the interior deep inside from the earth is called volcanism, is here called volcanic process or the volcanism. So the second atmosphere or the yearly atmosphere of the earth has been developed through your volcanism processes. Now if volcanism is the source of earth's second atmosphere and yearly atmosphere, then definitely what may be the composition of earth's yearly atmosphere? Then the earth's yearly atmosphere would compose water vapor up to 80%, carbon dioxide up to 10%, and a small amount of nitrogen, methane and your ammonia. So when in our initial atmosphere our initial atmosphere was hydrogen and helium rich, our second atmosphere or yearly atmosphere was rich in water vapor and your carbon dioxide. Okay, now if water vapor and carbon dioxide are the chief component of our second atmosphere, then where these water vapor and carbon dioxide has gone? Actually the answer is when our atmosphere is completely rich or it is very much rich in your water vapor, then they starts condensing as a rain or they starts falling as the precipitation and the world ocean takes place. takes place. Okay, and at that time also maximum percentage of the carbon dioxide, maximum percent of the carbon dioxide normally dissolved in this rain or in this precipitation, and they are finally stored in the world's ocean in form of your calcium carbonate. Okay, again I am telling कि if our early atmosphere or the second atmosphere was rich in water vapor and carbon dioxide, then the question is why they are not present in an abundant manner now? Because कि although in our early atmosphere the percentage of water vapor was 80%, but with due course of time when earth became sufficiently cold, then they fall as a rain or they fall as the precipitation. Now when this precipitation takes place, all the waters are deposited and preserved in our world ocean. Now again, this carbon dioxide which is approximately present or which was approximately present for the 10%, this maximum percentage of the carbon dioxide dissolved in this falling precipitation, and they are stored in this world ocean as your calcium carbonate, as we have seen in our previous slide. So in this manner the percentage of the water vapor and carbon dioxide in the second atmosphere has been decreased. Okay, now you may think that if the early atmosphere was completely your water vapor as well as your carbon dioxide is, then when and how oxygen has been generated or oxygen has been added to our atmosphere? The oxygen is being added to the atmosphere by two processes. First is your photosynthesis. As you all know कि in photosynthesis process the green pigments of the plants they absorb or they take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and release the oxygen. So this is the first process, or this is the one process through which oxygen is being added to the atmosphere since then. Now if photosynthesis is the process through which oxygen has been added to the atmosphere, it clearly indicates the first plants with chlorophyll has been evolved in an anaerobic condition. Okay, again I am telling कि if photosynthesis is the process through which oxygen was initially added into the earth's surface, this indicates that the first plants of the earth with green pigment, that is your chlorophyll, are generally developed generally evolved in the anaerobic condition or oxygen lacking condition. The second process which has added oxygen to our atmosphere is splitting of water molecule by energetic ultraviolet ray or energetic solar rays into hydrogen and oxygen. So this is the second process of the splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen is the second process, or it is the another process which has added the oxygen to the atmosphere. Now you just see कि as during initial time there was no ozone, was present in the stratosphere, so these ultraviolet rays can come to the earth very easily, and this ultraviolet ray splitted the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen, okay, thereby increasing the oxygen percentage in our atmosphere. Although these two process looks very simple, but it takes approximately 2 to 3 billion year. It takes approximately 2 to 3 billion year so that these two process can add the sufficient amount of oxygen to our atmosphere, thereby reaching a value of approximately 21%. So this is about our earlier atmosphere, or how our different atmosphere has been evolved. Okay, now we'll come to the vertical layering of atmosphere. Vertical layering of atmosphere. Okay, so the vertically atmospheres can be layered on the basis of temperature, on the basis of composition, and on the basis of electrical properties. Okay, so these are the three different classification criteria through which our atmosphere can be classified vertically. First one is your temperature, second is your composition, third one is your electric charge distribution or electric property. Before going to the vertical distribution of our atmosphere, I would like to discuss two important things, that is your air density and your air pressure. Okay, now if we will come to the first to the air density, then what is density? Density is the mass per unit volume. Okay, now just see, as I am telling mass per unit volume, this mass also we can tell in another way, ki numbers, because if more is the numbers, more will be the numbers of any object, then more will be the mass. Okay, so this air density we can call it ki number of air molecules per volume. So this is the for the time being we will consider ki this is the definition of air density, ki the number of air molecules per unit volume. Okay, now previously I have told ki gravity holds our atmosphere, and we all know ki the gravity value is highest at the earth surface in comparison to some elevation above the earth surface. Suppose this is your earth surface, then the gravity value will be highest somewhere here in comparison to the gravity value at some elevation above. Now as the gravity is highest near the earth surface, so it is possible or it is obvious that there would be more numbers of air molecules, or there would be much more higher number of air molecules near the earth surface, and with the number decreasing with elevation. Again I am telling ki if the gravity value is highest near the earth surface, then it is obvious that the number of air molecules would be highest near the earth surface in comparison to some elevation above. Why? Because gravity acts as a squeezing effect. Gravity through its pulling, it exerts an squeezing force, or it produces squeezing effect on our atmosphere. As the number of air molecules is highest, or it is relatively higher at the earth surface. Suppose we will consider a unit volume somewhere here and somewhere here. Now we can see ki in this given volume the number of air molecules is more, whereas where is at some elevation above at the same given volume at the same given volume that is present near the earth's surface. Earth's surface has a very low number of air molecules. Again I am telling ki as the number of molecules are highest near the earth's surface, so the number of air molecules per unit volume is highest at earth's surface in comparison to the number of air molecules at some elevation above. And previously I have told that the numbers of air molecule in a given volume is your density. That means the density is, or the air density is highest near the earth's surface, and it is relatively lower at some elevation above. Okay, I think you have understood ki the air density is highest near the earth's surface and it decreases as we go upward. Okay, so and again, as the gravity acts as a pulling agent, or gravity holds the air molecules, so this decrease rate is not constant with elevation, but it decreases rapidly fast, more slowly thereafter. Okay, so as the gravity holds, or it pulls the atmosphere towards the earth's surface, so this rate of decrease of the air density is highest at the surface, and with elevation it also decreases. Now if we will come to the air pressure. So what is the pressure? Pressure is the force exerted per unit area. And from where this force comes? This force comes from the mass. Okay, now if we will be able to measure the weight of our total atmosphere, then the weight of our total atmosphere is 5600 trillion tons. So this is the weight of our atmosphere. So as the air molecules have weight, or our atmosphere has weight, it will definitely act some force. It will definitely act some force on our earth, and that force is called your air pressure. Okay, as air pressure is the force exerted by the air molecules, and again the force is dependent on the mass of the air molecules, and again the mass dependent on the number of air molecules. That means if the number of air molecules will be more, then mass will be more, and as the mass will be more, then this exerted force will be more, and again this exerted force will be more, air pressure will be more. Or directly we can tell that ki if the number of air molecules is more, if the number of air molecules should be more, then this air pressure will also be more, but in a given volume. Okay, now we'll see these things. Ki suppose here this is your earth surface. Previously I have told ki the number of air molecules is highest near the earth surface and with decreasing, and it decreases with elevation. Okay, now suppose you will calculate the air pressure somewhere here. You will calculate the air pressure somewhere here and somewhere in that elevation. Now I have told what is air pressure, ki force exerted by the air molecules in a given level or given volume, and that force comes from the mass of the air molecules that is present above it. Now if we will consider that much amount of volume, then this should be your possible layer. Okay, this would be your possible layer. Similarly for this would be your possible layer. Now you just say, suppose you are standing somewhere here and after some time somewhere here. Now if you will come to our first position, then you can see ki you have more number of air molecules above your head. If you will stand here, then you can notice ki you have more number of air molecules above your head at this position in comparison to the number of molecules at this position. So as the number of air molecules is more, the number of air molecules is more when you are standing near the surface, that means air pressure also will be more. Okay, as the number of air molecules above your head is more, so air pressure will also more. But what happens here, you can see you have very small number of air molecules or you have less number of air molecules, that means air pressure is also small. That means just like your air density, air pressure also decreases with height rapidly at first, more slowly thereafter. Okay, so just like air density, the air pressure also decreases with height rapidly at first, slowly thereafter. Now I have told ki at the earth's surface, as the number of air molecules is highest, at the earth's surface as the number of air molecules is highest, that means air pressure should be highest at the earth's surface or at the sea level. So if so, what is the value of that air pressure? That value of air pressure is 14.7 pound per square inch. Okay, so this is the average value of air pressure, or this is the typical value of air pressure at sea level. So apart from this pound per square inch, we have another 3 units of measuring the pressure, that is your millibar, your hectopascal, and in inch in mercury coulomb. Okay, and they are correlated by 1013.25 millibar equal to 1013.25 hectopascal equal to 29.2 inch in mercury coulomb. So please remember this. Now you just look into this figure. As I have told, the number of air molecules or the air density is highest near the earth's surface and it decreases with height. Okay, so as the number of air molecules is highest at the earth's surface in comparison to at some elevation above, so the air density would be your highest near the earth's surface. Now you just look into this graph. Air density is highest near the earth's surface and it decreases with increasing height. Also it decreases rapidly fast, slowly thereafter. Also you can see this graph tells that the air density decreases rapidly fast, more slowly thereafter. Similarly, as I have told, the air pressure is dependent on the mass of the air molecules. As the air pressure is dependent on the mass of the air molecules. So our graph for air pressure or the line between air, sorry, the graph between air pressure and elevation also follows the same graph or the same line like that of your air density. So please remember, both air density and air pressure decreases rapidly first and more slowly thereafter. Now, yes, now suppose we will start we will consider the air pressure starting from the earth surface. You can see at the earth surface the approximate air pressure is your, suppose 1000 MB. We will start with the 1000 MB in order to avoid the fraction. Okay, so at the earth surface the pressure is your 1000 MB, and with increasing height you can see the air pressure decreases. Okay, so when you will gain an elevation of only 5.5 kilometer, you can see the air pressure was 500 MB. That means the air pressure becomes half. Air pressure becomes half means number of air molecules above you becomes half. Okay, that means you have crossed half of the atmosphere, or in other words, half of our atmosphere is present only at an height of 5.5 kilometer. Okay, now suppose at the summit of Mount Everest, which is suppose approximately 10 kilometer, then you can see at the topmost portion of the Mount Everest the atmospheric pressure was 300 MB only. That means we have lost 70% of the atmosphere. We have lost 70% of atmosphere in only 10 kilometer elevation. Similarly, at an elevation of approximately 30 kilometers, you can see air pressure was 10 MB. That means, as I previously told, 99% of our atmosphere lies at an elevation of lies below the 30 kilometer. But when you reach an elevation of 50 kilometer, the air pressure becomes 1 MB. That means 99.9% of the air molecules or atmosphere is present at an elevation of 50 kilometer from the Earth's surface. Okay, so this is about the there is another graph. As I have told, suppose you are standing at the sea level and you are standing at the summit of the mountain. You can see if you will stand here, then there will be more number of air molecules above your head, and as there exists more number of air molecules, that means they will exert more force, or in other words, there will be a high pressure above your head. But when you will go to the summit of the mountain, you can see there are only few atoms are present above your head that corresponds to the lower pressure. So the pressure as well as air density decreases with height rapidly at first, more slowly thereafter. Okay, up to now we have seen the distribution of air pressure as well as your air density, but the temperature profile or the temperature distribution of the atmosphere is not uniform like our air pressure as well as air density. Now we look how our temperature distribution looks like. Okay, now suppose we will start from the earth surface at an average temperature of 15 degrees Celsius. Now you can notice up to an height of 11 kilometer, the air temperature decreases. Up to an height of 11 kilometer, the air temperature decreases. This decrease of temperature with height is called your lapse rate. The decrease of temperature of height is called your lapse rate, and the average lapse rate of our atmosphere is 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Please remember, this will work in our future classes. The if temperature decreases with height, then it is called the lapse rate, and the average lapse rate of our atmosphere is your 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Okay, now actually what happens ki someday the temperature change or the rate of change of temperature may be more than the average rate. Okay, suppose one morning you have woken up, you have wake up and you have seen ki for that day the average lapse rate of our atmosphere was 7 degrees Celsius per kilometer. So this condition indicates a steepening of lapse rate. Okay, and another day you have noticed that the lapse rate becomes 4 degrees Celsius per kilometer or 1000 meter. Okay, so if the lapse rate will be less than the average lapse rate, or the observed lapse rate is less than that of your average, the observed lapse rate, if the observed lapse rate is less than that of your average lapse rate, then in that situation we can tell ki it is called weakening lapse rate, or lapse rate is weakening. And sometimes what happens, temperature increases with height. Temperature increases with height instead of decreasing. Okay, so if your temperature increases with height, this is called your temperature inversion. Is called your temperature inversion. So from 0 kilometer up from the surface up to an elevation of 11 kilometer, the temperature changes or temperature decreases at a rate of 6.5 degrees Celsius per 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer, which is called your lapse rate. And also within this 11 kilometer elevation, of elevation, there occurs all the weather we are familiar with. Okay, also all the air molecules in this upper 11 regions are very well mixed. Okay, and this region is called your troposphere. Now you can see ki at an elevation of 11 kilometer there occurs a region. At an elevation of 11 kilometer there occurs a region where the temperature does not change with height, or there occurs a isothermal situation. It is called your isothermal situation, and this isothermal region is called your tropopause. This isothermal region is called your tropopause. Okay, and this tropopause indicates the end of the troposphere and starting of another layer, that is your stratosphere. Okay, and as we all know ki the average temperature of the earth is relatively higher in the tropical region or near the equator, and it is lower near the poles. Okay, as the average temperature of the earth or our atmosphere is highest at the equator and lowest near the poles, so the average height of the tropopause, just wait, I am writing. The average height of the tropopause is highest at equator and lowest at pole. Okay, so please note down this ki the average height of the tropopause, or the average height of our tropopause is highest at equator and lowest at pole. Okay, so after tropopause we have another layer where the temperature increases with height. Okay, so in the troposphere, where the temperature decreases with height, or temperature is decreasing with height, but in the above layer heat, the temperature increases with height. That means there occurs temperature inversion, and this layer is here called stratosphere. Now the question, why there occurs temperature inversion in the stratosphere, or why in stratosphere the temperature increases with the height? This is because absorption of ultraviolet rays present in absorption of ultraviolet ray by the presence of ozone in the stratosphere. So why there occurs temperature inversion, or why temperature increases with height in the stratosphere? Because the presence of ozone in the stratosphere, absorbs the ultraviolet ray. So due to this the temperature of the stratosphere increases with height. Okay, and again you can see at the upper limit of the stratosphere, there occurs another isothermal region, that is here called stratopause. Okay, so after stratopause we have another layer that is called mesosphere. Here also again, just like here tropopause, the temperature decreases with height. Now in this point it is to remember that with a temperature of minus 90 degrees Celsius, the topmost part of our mesosphere is the coldest place of our atmosphere. At a temperature of minus 90 degrees Celsius, the topmost part of the mesosphere is the coldest place of our atmosphere. Okay, so and one more important thing, although the composition of the composition of the air in the mesosphere, composition of the mesospheric air is same like your tropospheric air. That means maintaining a ratio of 78:21 between nitrogen and oxygen. But if you will inhale the air of mesosphere, then it will have a lesser number of oxygen molecules in comparison to the air of the troposphere. Okay, and if you will inhale this lesser number of oxygen, then there can be a condition that is called hypoxia may takes place to our brain, which is caused due to shortage of oxygen molecules. So again I am telling although the composition of the mesospheric air and tropospheric air are relatively same, that means both have a nitrogen to oxygen ratio of 21%, but in comparison to tropospheric air, the mesospheric air has the lesser number of oxygen molecules. So this situation of lesser number of oxygen molecule create a condition that is called hypoxia. That means this hypoxia condition takes place when there occur a lack of oxygen molecule, or there occurs non-availability of the oxygen molecule to our brain. Okay, now above the mesosphere we have thermosphere. Now in comparison to the mesospheric air, the thermospheric air is very thin. That means the air molecules or the oxygen nitrogen molecules have to travel about a great distance before bombardment with each other. Okay, so as they have to travel a great distance in order to bombard with each other, so although the temperature in the thermosphere reaches a value of 500 degrees Celsius, but if you will go to thermosphere you will not feel the heat. Why? Only because of very less number of air molecules to bombard with your body. Okay, so although the temperature of thermosphere is 500 degrees Celsius, but if you will go to thermosphere you will not feel that much warmth or that much heat. Okay, above the thermosphere we have another region that is here called exosphere. Okay, and in the exosphere the air molecules are normally shoots off into the space from the gravity field of the earth. So the place from where the air molecules are normally lost into space are called here exosphere. So this is all about the temperature distribution of our atmosphere. So regarding this, it is important that I have told ki rate of temperature if temperature decreases with height, then it is called your lapse rate. Okay, you can see ki in troposphere and mesosphere, the temperature decreases with height. So when temperature decreases with height, or when the temperature will decrease with height, it will create a condition that is called your positive lapse rate. If the temperature decreases with height, then it is here called positive lapse rate. But in the stratosphere and thermosphere, you can see that temperature increases with height. Such condition is called negative lapse rate. So please remember कि positive lapse rate is the decrease of temperature with height, whereas negative lapse rate is the increase of temperature with height. That means positive lapse rate is present in troposphere, mesosphere. Negative lapse rate is present in the stratosphere and thermosphere. Okay, so I think we have left from here कि our initial atmosphere was made up of hydrogen, helium, methane and ammonia. Similarly, the second atmosphere was formed by the outgassing process, and the chief component was water vapor, carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Final oxygen rich atmosphere is developed by the generation of oxygen through photosynthesis and dissociation of water molecules by solar rays. Yes, I have forgot one thing ki in this slide we have seen there occurs 78% of the nitrogen in our atmosphere. Okay, so there occurs the percentage of nitrogen in our atmosphere is approximately 78%. Now the question is, what causes such a higher degree of nitrogen in our atmosphere, or in other words, why there occurs so much abundance of nitrogen in our atmosphere? This is simply because the nitrogen or our atmosphere is nitrogen rich because there is no process that can remove nitrogen efficiently. Although I know denitrifying bacteria removes the nitrogen from our atmosphere, but that amount is very low. So as there is no process there that can remove the nitrogen from our atmosphere. That's why our atmosphere is your nitrogen rich. Okay, our atmosphere is nitrogen rich because it is chemically inactive. Air density is the number of air molecules in a given volume, and the weight of the atmosphere is approximately 5600 trillion tons. The amount of force exerted over an area of surface is called your atmospheric pressure, and atmospheric pressure and air density decreases with height rapidly at first, more slowly thereafter. Atmospheric pressure at sea level is 14.7 pound per square inch. So finally the different units of atmospheric pressure are millibar, hectopascal and inch in mercury, and they are related by this relation. Okay, we will come to the layers of atmosphere ki from Earth's surface to 11 km contains all the weather we are familiar with, and this region is well mixed by rising and descending air currents. So this region of circulating air extending upward from the Earth's surface to where air stops becoming colder with height is called your troposphere. Above 11 km, air temperature remains constant with height, indicating the starting of stratosphere, and such isothermal region is called your tropopause. So the tropopause found at higher elevation over the equatorial region and the decrease in elevation over the pole. So please remember this thing. So due to same region, tropopause is higher in summer and lower in winter in all the latitudes. Sometimes what happens, that tropopause breaks and it causes the engulfment of the very high speed westerly wind, that is called your jet stream. So breaks in the tropopause at some region gives rise to mixing of tropospheric air, stratospheric air, which also positioned your jet stream. Okay, in stratosphere your temperature inversion exists. That means the temperature increases with height. Okay, so inversion is due to absorption of energetic ultraviolet rays from the sun. Above the stratosphere is your mesosphere, and in the mesosphere the air is thin and pressure is quite low. So this is the point to remember, कि with an average temperature of 90 degree, with the average temperature of minus 90 degree, the top of the mesosphere is the coldest place of our atmosphere. Hot layer above the mesosphere is your thermosphere. Here the oxygen molecule absorbs energetic solar rays, warming the air. Although the temperature exceeds 500 degrees Celsius in thermosphere, but a person shielded from the sun would not necessarily feel hot. Why? Because there are very few molecules to bombard with the body. Above the thermosphere, many of the lighter, faster moving molecules traveling in the right direction escapes the gravitational pull, and that region is here called exosphere. So this is the layering of the atmosphere on the basis of distribution of temperature. Now we'll come to your left side. The rate at which the air temperature decreases with height is called your left side, and the average left side is 6.5 degrees Celsius for 1000 meter or 1 kilometer. If the temperature increases with height, then it is called, due to some font problem it is not showing, it is called temperature inversion. Okay, so if the temperature increases with height, then it is called temperature inversion. Now if we will come to salient features of the Leff's rate, कि Leff's rate is lower in winter than in summer, because during winter our atmosphere is already cold, so it cannot give up the heat at a greater rate. But in case of a summer, as our atmosphere is warmer, so the temperature can decrease at a greater amount. So using the same concept, you can I think you can understood why Leff's rate is lower in night than during the daytime. So previously I have told that the height of the tropopause is high at the equatorial region and it is low at the polar region. So in tropical region, so the equatorial region, Leff's rate continues up to 16 to 18 km in height, but in polar region it is up to only 6 km. Okay, with same height from the surface, temperature of stratosphere increases from equator to pole as stratosphere is lower at pole. So let me to explain this thing. Okay, what it is telling, कि with same height from the surface, temperature of stratosphere increases from equator to pole as stratosphere is lower at pole. Suppose we will consider the temperature at an height of 30 km from the earth surface. Suppose this is your earth surface and this is the 30 km elevation from the earth surface. Okay, now suppose this is your equator and this is your pole. I have told कि height of the tropopause, or the starting of where the stratosphere starts, the height of the tropopause is highest. The height of the tropopause is highest at equatorial region and it decreases towards the polar region. That means suppose this red line is the tropopause. That means कि this is your troposphere and this is the stratosphere. Now if we will change the temperature, from the earth surface up to an elevation of 30 km, what will happen? Suppose we will start from here, then above the equatorial region, the temperature will decrease for a greater amount, because as we know कि above the equatorial region the Leff's rate continues up to 16 to 18 km, but above the pole the Leff's rate of the temperature decreases only up to 6 to 8 km. That means कि above the equatorial region it is obvious that the temperature will be much more lower at the tropopause, because the temperature is decreasing for a greater height. But what happened above the pole? The temperature would not be much more lower in the troposphere. Much more lower at the tropopause. Now just see कि from the tropopause the temperature will start increasing. Okay, both above the equator and as well as above the pole. Now you just see कि above the equator the temperature increases only up to 12 to 14 km. Okay, yes, but above the pole what happens? The same was about for 22 to 24 kilometers. So with same rate of change in temperature both above the equator and pole, you can imagine कि here the temperature of the stratosphere, that is at 30 km elevation, it will be lower in comparison to that above the pole. That's why with same height from the surface temperature of the stratosphere increases from equator to pole as stratosphere is lower at pole. So please remember the next point कि in winter stratosphere is warmest between 50 degree to 60 degree latitude in both northern as well as southern hemisphere. Okay, now up to now we have classified our atmosphere on the basis of temperature. Now on the basis of composition we will classify our atmosphere as your homosphere as well as heterosphere. So from the troposphere to the base of the thermosphere it is called the homosphere. That means troposphere, stratosphere and your mesosphere, all these three spheres compile to form the homosphere. Why it is called homosphere? Because all the air masses present in troposphere, stratosphere and mesosphere has an uniform composition, that is 78:21 of nitrogen and oxygen. That's why this compilation of troposphere, stratosphere and mesosphere is called your homosphere. Similarly, from the base of the thermosphere to top of the atmosphere is called heterosphere. So why it is called heterosphere? Because as we all know above the thermosphere the number of air molecules are very less, so they cannot be equilibrated or well homogenized. Now so as they are not well homogenized, the diffusion process takes place. So what happens after diffusion process? The nitrogen and oxygen molecules present in the thermosphere stays in the bottommost part of the thermosphere, whereas relatively lighter hydrogen and helium are normally present in the topmost part of the thermosphere. So due to this region, unlike the air of troposphere, stratosphere and mesosphere, the air of the thermosphere is not uniform in nature. That's why it is called a heterosphere. Now this is about the layering of the atmosphere on the basis of composition. Now if we will come to the layering of the atmosphere on the basis of electrical property, then only we have one sphere, that is called ionosphere, which is an electrified region, exists from 60 km above surface to the topmost part of the atmosphere. And the usefulness of ionosphere is that it plays an important role in radio transmission. How? See, this is the figure of your ionosphere, and our ionosphere has three different layers: D layer, E layer and F layer. Okay, and this D layer behaves very differently. D layer is only present during the daytime, but during night time it normally disappears. And what is the disadvantages of D layer? The D layer normally absorbs the emitted AM waves from the AM radio station. I am writing here this D layer absorbs the AM radio waves. Okay, so as the AM radio waves, as the transmitted AM radio waves are being absorbed by the D layer of the atmosphere, that means if any radio station or if any AM radio station would want to or would like to play their program, then it has to transmit it at a greater frequency. Okay, again I am telling as D layer absorbs the AM radio waves, So in order to a radio station to follow his or to transmit his program, then it needs to transmit their waves in the greatest frequency, so that although some part will be absorbed by the D layer, but some part may reflected from the E layer and it again come back into the Earth's surface, thereby telecasting the program. So during daytime AM radio stations normally transmit their AM waves in a very greater frequency. Okay, but what happens during night time is, during night time there is no D layer, so these radio waves can easily transferred or easily transmitted. So during night time this frequency is normally reduced. If the frequency of the AM radio waves would not be reduced at night times, then there is a fair possibility of overlapping of different radio waves. So I think if you have ever seen to the AM radio, then during sunrise and sunset it is normally telecasted at necessary technical adjustment is taking place. So what is this necessary technical adjustment? Ki during sunrise there occurs an increase in frequency. During sunrise there occurs an increase in frequency of the AM radio waves, whereas during night there occurs a reduction of frequency of AM radio waves. Okay, so this is all about the introduction to your atmosphere. Now from the next class or from the onward classes we will go for the warming of the earth and atmosphere. Thank you.